Welcome to the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, bringing you the country's top podcast on the subject of internet marketing.
Welcome back again to another episode of the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Glenn Thayer. With me is Thomas Young, the CEO of Intuitive Websites. Again, we are going to be talking about cluttered websites. I think we talked about cluttered websites probably about 3 years ago. I think we
did.
We had that, but since technology's changed over the past few years, there's a lot of other options between things coming out like Google, where it's super basic, to people over-cluttering websites with too much copy, too much information, too many graphics. We're going to revisit it and really look at how clutter affects conversions, how it affects your website, how it affects your income, especially when you have websites that are driving heavy conversions, specifically for on e-commerce and people that are going to visit your ski resort, because it is ski season here in Colorado. So we're going to be talking about that as well. So let's just jump into things, Tom, and let's first just talk about how we avoid having a bunch of clutter on our website.
You know, it's interesting in doing these podcasts that we talk so much about how some of the most popular websites in the world are the busiest websites in the world. And I've always said, you know, what are these guys doing? Are they doing something I don't understand? Because, you know, it just boggles me. And I think, Glenn, you're the same way. You look at it and you go, what are they trying to accomplish here? Why do they have 101 links on their homepage? I don't know. And I think what's happened over time, over those 3 years, is that we've proven to be right. Because even the most busy websites in the world, like an Amazon.com, for example, are becoming less and less busy every day. And I want to take you back to probably the two most successful technology companies in the history of the world. And they would be Apple Computers and Google. And if you look at their websites, they're incredibly simple. They are so simple that it's to the point of, I don't know, it's just total minimalism. In fact, when Google came on the marketplace, the only thing on their website was a box that you could search. And they couldn't really monetize that because, you know, if people are using the site just to do searches, that's not going to work for them. How are they going to make money if people are just searching on their website? So the most important thing to them to develop a revenue stream was to do ads on those searches, right? And to develop business partnerships to drive traffic to different websites and so forth. But that's not what was on their page. What was on their page was just the search box. And then eventually a little navigation system developed and they started generating revenue. But my point is that the business was successful because it had a clear vision and a clear purpose. It understood what was important to the website visitors, and it just focused on that one thing. And now look at the success of Google. Apple has done the same thing over and over again. Their site has always been very simple, very focused on what is the new and exciting thing. And this week, the new and exciting thing is that the Beatles are now available on iTunes, which to me is quite the paradox, because if you don't have any Beatles music in your library, you're not going to have any because they're on iTunes. I think that you know, it is great that the Beatles are on iTunes, and I love that fact, but you know, I've had Beatles LPs and cassettes and 45s and 8-tracks and CDs and stuff for years, you know. And so most people have probably had that. And so I think what iTunes does now is it just maybe allows the impulse buyer to go in and get that one Beatles track they didn't have, or give it as a gift to someone that's young and maybe not into the Beatles or whatever. So, but Apple and Google have always done that. Focus, focus, focus. And it's no accident that they're so successful. So you have to understand, what are the most important needs of my website visitor, and how can I focus just on those and nothing else? And
I want to just touch base on Apple really, really quick and talk about that, because a lot of times they use their main homepage, their landing page, as whatever launch they're doing. So if it's the iPad, if it's the new iPhone, whatever product that they're pushing, that's usually what they're going to fill up with the graphic. And looking at the Apple website today, literally, that's what it is. You have your navigation at the top, which is the navigation that's on every web page that Apple has. So you have your store, Mac, iPod, iPhone, iPad, iTunes support.
Yeah.
In the little search box.
Right.
The rest of it is just a huge graphic of the Beatles.
A picture of the Beatles, right, from the Hey Jude sessions, I think.
And then they have their lower navigation that has the sitemap and RSS feeds and all of that. Mm-hmm. But That's it. Nothing there.
Nothing there. That's it. Yeah.
And so when you're looking at that, this is a question that I have is, if you had no idea what Apple was and you had no idea what Google was,
right.
So it didn't mean anything. Obviously, it has meaning now. We know what they are. If it didn't have any meaning, let's say if the website was called theshutter.com. We had no idea. I'm sure there's a website called The Shutter. But if we had no idea what it was, and we showed up and it just had a box on it,
mm-hmm.
what would that mean? It wouldn't mean much. And so my question is there a good balance between the two to make sure you have enough information when somebody shows up at the website?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what I think happens with the clutter is you have one person that says, and it's death by committee, as we know how that works.
Right.
One person says, well, we need to make sure that all the offerings are available because our customer that comes to this website may not want just this one thing. They may want something else that we don't have.
Right, or they may want to figure out who we are before they dig deeper. And I think your point is valid, but here's what the point I want to make is that it takes courage to make that stand and to say this is what we're about. And we're going to have a navigation system. I mean, you can go read about us if you want, but this is the one thing we're about, or the two things we're about. And my thought is that you will build your brand quicker and more successfully if you do that, even if you're an unknown website. If you're an unknown website and you're carrying the Beatles, you can still do the same thing Apple did, is say, we're about the Beatles right now. And that will, what it does in the mind of the user, it just, they just don't have to think. They're at the website. If it gets them excited, they move forward. If it doesn't, they go somewhere else. And then that ties in the fact that you've got to know why your users are coming to the site anyway. And that death by committee thing is really based on a fear issue. People are afraid. Well, I'm concerned that we're going to lose people. I'm afraid we're going to lose people if we don't add more. Well, what's true is you're going to get more people if you have less, but the most important stuff. The most important stuff has to be there. And I'm thinking 2 items, maybe 3 at the most.
So it would be more on this is really the argument for microsites.
It could be, in some ways.
Because there's a lot of companies, especially when there's a lot of mergers and you have conglomerates that say, I want to show everything that we have. Well, that's not the easiest way. If you're e-commerce, I think e-commerce is different than dealing with something like Netflix or rental where you do one thing. Yeah. And obviously, we're going to go and we're going to talk about e-commerce because there's a right way to do e-commerce and there's a cluttered way to do e-commerce as well. But really looking at it from a standpoint of making sure if you have so many product offerings, what are you known for most? If you say, I'm known for 5 things, well, maybe you do microsites for each one of those 5 things. And your landing page says, here's your option for the conglomerate, and we have individual sites for each one of those.
Absolutely. In fact, let's take a look at a couple websites, and we're going to look at a few websites. They're all going to be listed on the blog, and you can follow along with us. But we want to look at a site called Hey Needle, and I'm going to compare that site to Amazon. Now, I've been watching Amazon since day one, since the first day that they really became a sensation. And every year they get less cluttered, and every year they get more focused on products that they think I should be buying. So when I come to the home page, it seems to be more and more personalized to me. But the navigation systems have shrunk, have gotten smaller. There's fewer navigation systems, and most of the ads that you see now are just products. They're products. They're not as many ads like, you do see some things here on the right that they probably should get rid of. Huge savings, the Black Friday ad, all this. Well, here's going to go to the search box and to the products.
But here's something else too, and this is something to notate as well. And there is a difference because I have my computer up and you have yours. You're signed into Amazon.
It's different if you're signed in.
You have a different page than I do.
Okay, so the Amazon page that Glenn sees, if you're not signed in, is even more simple than the one I have. There's just a handful of products, and it's very clean, a lot of white space. This is new for Amazon. This is not where they used to be years ago. Now, if you compare that...
However, I do see that when I'm looking at all the graphics, when I scroll down, though, there's too many graphics.
There's a lot of options there, and they're by category. But what Amazon is saying is, we do everything. And they're trying to do everything in a simplistic fashion. If you go look at Hayseed, actually Hay Needle, it's HAYNEEDLE.com. we don't know if they're trying to be everything or what they're trying to do or what kind of gifts they're trying to sell. So a website like this then becomes too cluttered, because I can actually make the argument that Amazon is a less cluttered website because they're saying we either sell what you want because we know your history, or we're going to give you our categories and we're going to give you everything you could possibly want. Whereas Hey Needle, it's not clear if they're giving me everything I want or why would I buy here. And so that's an example of how big e-commerce websites can either look cluttered or not look cluttered. Hey Needle looks cluttered and Amazon doesn't because it's more focused.
Now let's do one more. One more e-commerce site is QVC.com.
Yeah, we could do QVC, and I also want to look at Woot, which is WOOT, which is a new website, fairly new website that has just done great, and it is the ultimate in simplicity. On the Woot website, you have one product that's been featured, and that's it. And if you want to buy that product, you get it at a great price. If you don't want to buy that product, you can navigate to other products at a great price. And that product, the product of the day, is emailed out to subscribers of Woot, and their motto is one day, one deal. And the deals are really good, and word of mouth is taken off, and they're doing fantastic. It's a website that basically started with not much of anything. So Woot would be kind of an example of extreme simplicity, although they do have quite a cluttered website if you scroll down. But I bet you if we saw their stats, it'd be very little traffic on these links down below the fold. Most of the traffic is going to go to that I want one button, and whether or not they want to pay the price for that product of the day. All right, we're going to look at QVC as well.
QVC, yeah, and the whole reason I say QVC is I still see QVC as cluttered, but because of the fact that they do have things on air at the same time, you can watch what's happening on the air, what products are going through. You can watch video demonstrations of the product, which is a little different than Amazon.
Yeah. It's when I think about big e-commerce players and I think about whether you're cluttered or not, the question is not so much how much stuff you have on your homepage. The question is it clear to the user what they're getting into? Is it a specialty site that you're only going to find a certain kind of thing? Or is it a mass distribution site with all kinds of products, and then you're looking at product categories like an Amazon? So a cluttered website in e-commerce can be a website where the user's just confused. Well, do you have everything or do you not? If I need to get, ping pong balls, do you have ping pong balls? Or you just sell pool tables? Or do you sell dartboards, but you don't sell pool balls and pool cues? I mean, so you mean, is it everything or is it not everything?
Right.
And that's, I think, what can drive cluttered versus uncluttered in e-commerce, especially at the level of a QVC or an Amazon or even a Hey Needle where there's thousands of products they're selling.
Let's head to Best Buy.
Yeah, the technology sector is really interesting. And if you look at a couple sites I wanted to show here, one is techforless.com, and then the other one is Best Buy. Now, Best Buy is actually an amazing technology retailer. I mean, they've survived the recession. They've been through the ups and the downs. They carry Apple stuff. They carry PCs, everything, and their website is more and more simple every year. And this version that we have going into the holidays of 2010 is the simplest version yet. Whereas you look at a website like Tech for Less, and they're selling refurbished equipment. It's the old thing of 101 links on the page. And in fact, there's 6 products featured in the middle part of the website, and each of those products has 3 links. I have got to do a lot of thinking to figure out what I want to do on this website. Whereas I go to Best Buy, I've got products, and there are categories right there, and I've got services. And so I can quickly go to products in the left-hand corner and start finding what I want. I can ignore everything that's on the home page. There's not much there. Or if I'm looking at the home page, I'm looking specifically at this week's deals. And I'm looking at an ad that probably the ad on the home page could probably come or go. I'd probably narrow that down to just the free shipping ad. I actually am not as big a fan of these rotators as I used to be because I just don't think people take the time to look at them or scroll through them. These rotators, like we see on Best Buy, are more interesting to the developers of the site than they are to the users.
Quick question on rotators.
Yes.
Because I know this is going to come up somewhere.
Yeah, absolutely. They can clutter a site, absolutely.
Rotators that don't have an ad option that might just be photos, a photo rotator.
Yeah, I think a photo rotator with a tagline that keys in on a key benefit is awesome. But I don't think Apple or Google ever use rotators. I don't think they do. In fact, when you think about Google, if they change their logo, it makes national news. That's how simple their website is, because there's only one graphic image on their entire site, and it's their logo. So when they change that, it makes the news, and Google gets more exposure. And Apple's the same way. I don't think you see the rotator with Apple. You do see movies, but you don't see the rotator. So I would say for Best Buy, lose the rotator, but you're doing great as far as a lot less clutter on your website than other technology companies like a Tech for Less. Yeah, and I think now that it's snow season here in Colorado, we should look at the ski areas, and we've done a lot of work with the ski areas in Intuitive Websites, and so our history goes way back with Copper Mountain and IntraWest and that sort of thing. What ski areas are notorious for doing is starting off with a vision of keeping it simple, and then doing the website by committee, where every committee has to throw their ad on there. And if you look at coppercolorado.com, you'll see that. And you'll see that the committee has added On Sale Now, Third Night Free, Science and Nature Unite, the Copper Pass, plus a rotating image of the registration program with tabs that are not very intuitive. So we're looking once again at the 101 links on a site. Copper Colorado could do a lot of good if they learned from a site like Arapahoe Basin. And go look at Arapahoe Basin.
And there's also some differences too with those. I'll get into in a minute with the different websites, because with ski areas, you have ski areas and ski resorts.
Yes.
And the difference with a ski area is you're dealing with the mountain. You're dealing with snow conditions. From a website standpoint, when I go to a website, and I'm on arapahoebasin.com probably daily because I want to see what are the runs like, what are the grooming, what do they have open. Am I going to go ski tomorrow? Tomorrow's Saturday. I'm thinking, hey, maybe I'll hit the mountain. I don't know. But if the snow conditions are right, I'm going to check that up. Mm-hmm. What goes on at the website at a ski area, it's pretty simple. You're not dealing with lodging issues. And that is what I think. And like I said, we'll get into the other Copper Mountain and Vail resorts as well at snow.com in a minute here. But what happens? You deal with that. Now you have lodging. Now you have all these other issues that are going on that the resort offers.
Right, and so you're onto it. I mean, that might be what you do on a Copper Mountain website or a Vail website is you have two areas on the homepage, and that's it. You have
Copper lodging,
ski, and lodging. Are you coming to ski, or are you coming to ski and stay the night? Because everything else is peripheral to that. The shopping, the restaurants, the how to get there, the reservation information, all of that can be in those categories. But to try to have everything on the homepage leads to a cluttered website. I think to take a stand and have it simplified will lead to more reservations online and more bookings and more people saying, let's go there. It sounds refreshing and fun. And if you look at A Basin, which we stumbled upon this morning in preparing for this podcast, that's kind of what I'm talking about. I mean, it's a very simple approach. They're asking you either buy a pass for $139 or to enter into the website. And when you do enter into the website, it's a lot less cluttered than, say, a Copper Mountain or even a snow.com. The Arapahoe Basin's website is, like you said, focused on the conditions of the mountain, getting tickets and passes or getting rentals, and getting people in there with hot deals and so forth. There's a lot fewer links than on Copper Mountain and also on snow.com. If you look at snow.com, you'll see not only are there lots and lots of links on the homepage, but there are links to what looks like completely separate websites. And I'm not sure if they are, but if we click on Vail, it doesn't take us to a website. It keeps us on Snow, but it's in Flash, so it's hard to know that you changed.
Oh, there it is. Hold on. If you go up to the top of the...
it's at the top.
It's at the top, but below the top level navigation, it says Visit Resort Sites.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it's hard to see. When you have so much stuff on a website, I never saw that. I did not see that at all. So, I mean, that's what happens when you have a cluttered website. Users just will not see how to get to the resort websites. And then, once again, here we are on the Vail site. There's at least 5 or 6 graphic ads, and people just don't even click on these ads. So the ski resorts need some help. And once again, they're getting to this concept of websites by committee. And when they do that, you just end up with too much stuff on your site.
I want to go one other thing on the on the ski resort here, and this is what I love most about the A-Basin site, is the fact I can go in there and I can look at the webcams.
Yes.
And they have webcams in probably 4 or 5 different locations that update every 5 minutes. Yeah. So I can see the physical, I can see what the snow looks like there, what's going on, how many people are there. At Vail, I don't know if they even have it. If they do, I can't.
Well, it'd be hard to find. And when you have so much stuff on the site, it's hard to find it.
Like, I want to know how much snow, and I see this, 27 inches. I got 27 inches in the last 72 hours. Great. That's what I want to know. But I want to, I want to see it. It's like, is there something I can see what's going on? Is there a blizzard going on right now? Is there snow?
Absolutely. Let's shift gears and look at 2 old favorites, which is Netflix and Blockbuster.
Absolutely.
And we'll just spend a little bit of time on this. We've done a whole podcast on Netflix and Blockbuster. They're 2 of my favorite websites to watch because Blockbuster keeps heading to bankruptcy and Netflix keeps growing. And if you look at their websites, it's really evident. Blockbuster just cannot fight the urge to add more stuff to their website. Now, they've done better. There's little by little, they're cleaning it up. And then, of course, Netflix is super clean, super direct, nothing but movies. Find a movie. Blockbuster is just having a hard time with that. They just can't seem to get to where, there's the Samsung ad, there's the movies and games delivered free, there's the scrolling picture of Harry Potter, with all of that is above the search for movies, which is copying the way Netflix uses their search for movies by category. So it's just 2 sites to really take a look at, the effect of clutter and sense of purpose on the bottom line. And for Blockbuster, they just have struggled and haven't been able to keep up with Netflix.
Well, even looking at the 2 right there is Netflix still has when you go to their homepage, it's you sign up for your free month trial. There's a little box at the top for member sign-in.
Yeah, the homepage hasn't changed in a long time.
It's like it's very, very easy to do. It's like, okay, so you want to browse the selection. What do you want to do? As opposed to Blockbuster, where everything's right there, and it's almost too much. Because I'm thinking, how do I sign up? Do I sign up? Do I need to go to a store? And then there's the questions once again that you bring up. We talk about the bankruptcy. It's like, well, we know Blockbuster's either in bankruptcy or headed to bankruptcy.
Right.
Do I need to go to a store? Are they pushing more towards kiosks? What's going on? Is there, there's all this information that we get from the media. Is it addressed on their website?
Right. And so if you met with the Blockbuster web marketing team, they would have a lot of different reasons to rationalize what they're doing and why they do it this way. And we've got to do that, and we've got to do this, and we've got to do this. Well, you're in bankruptcy. What you're doing is not working. And what Netflix is doing is working. So it's just another example of how simplicity and sense of mission and purpose leads to results.
Now, would this be a good time to really look at your competition? And if your competition's website's looking or working, wouldn't it be a good time to start copying those features onto your website? Yeah,
I mean, we've always talked about this, the fact that the web is the open marketplace. You can go see your competitors and you can see what's happening. And my thought is, yes, absolutely. You want to take the best of what you see and put your own personal touch on it, your uniqueness.
Just take the framework. If the framework of a website works,
absolutely,
why not just take that framework into yours?
Yeah, I mean, and this is done all the time in retail stores, for example. When you go to a grocery store, there's a method to what a grocery store does. I mean, could you imagine going to a grocery store and the eggs and the milk were in separate parts of the store? No. I mean, they put the eggs and the milk together.
Right.
So that's where dairy is. And that's the same thing with the website. You want to structure it in a way that gets results.
Well, let's see. What else do we have? I think we might have one other one. We're going to look at Merrill Runyon's.
Yes, we just finished a website, and we're going to put both these links on our blog. But I just wanted to show you, the listeners, what it's like to take a cluttered site and make it less cluttered and more direct. And if you go to speakstrong.com, you'll see the initial site, which is still live. There's a lot of content there for Merrill Runyon. Merrill Runyon's an author and a speaker, and She came to us and wanted a new website done. She wants to sell more books, and she wants to get more speaking opportunities and do webinars and just grow her business on the web. And so go to speakstrong.com. You'll see the before, and then if you go to merylrunyon.com, you'll see the after, and it's MERYLRUNION.com. And once again, it's on the blog posted there. So you can see that the new website has very direct taglines and a lot of white space, and the focus is right to her books, because everything for her happens through the sales of her books, which leads to revenue for her, and then speaking opportunities, and then the opportunity to have a higher subscription base for her webinars and her podcasts and other things she does.
And it's very, very clear exactly what she does.
It's very clear. 10 out of 10 users would look at this site and say, she's an author. And I like this because, say what you mean what you say without being mean when you say it. Oh, I like that. That appeals to me. I'm going to buy her book. And maybe if it doesn't appeal to you, you don't buy the book. But at least there's not questions about what does she do? What does she write about? What value can I get from this website? And if you look at the Speak Strong site, it's a little more confusing. Power phrases, say what you mean, learn how. There's lots of links on the site. And basically the bottom line is the users really have to try to think through this and figure out what's important for them. On the new site, they look at the books, and within a few clicks, they're going to be checking the books out to see which one they want to buy.
I got one question. Go back to the Speak Strong website really
Yes.
quick here. And this, I see that this leads to clutter. This great phrase here is, sign up for something that's free. Here's a free report. Here's get this report for free, absolutely free, that you can do this,
Right.
that, and the other thing.
It's a four-letter word, isn't it? That word.
I am thinking that when you put something out there like that, and I know a couple years ago it was, hey, you need to have something, an incentive to somebody to sign up in your newsletter or sign up to be on your list. You need to have some type of incentive. If you're giving away a white paper or something for free, people will do it. I'm finding that when I see that on a website and I see, here, get this for free now, sign up and get this for free, all I think of is I'm going to be spammed.
Right, and if you look at the new site, which there's nothing on there that says this is free. If it's free, it's obvious. It just says download this PDF, download the PDF here. But what is free on the website is obvious. What isn't free is also obvious. And the content and the richness of her message is what will drive people to buy the books, not the lost leader or the idea of the free
And she
thing.
still has it on the newsletter. If you go under newsletter, it says sign up for the Speak Strong newsletter, say something significant newsletter. Here's what
Right.
it is. It's practical, it's useful, it's free. Yes, that's it. It's like, here's what it is. Sign up and this is what you're going to get.
Right. No,
And we'll
there's
give
no
you the Speak Strong Method Handbook. I get that it's not on the homepage.
That's
and
right.
I think that's where it comes back. If I say, well, I want to see what she's written. I want to see what do her newsletters look like. What are they? I want to get a feel for who Meryl is. That's probably the best way to go.
Absolutely.
Well, wonderful. Well, let's kind of wrap this up. This is one of our longer podcasts, kind of going through all
Sure.
these websites. But really, let's look at the action items for our listeners to really avoid clutter on the website.
Well, I'm going to encourage everyone to take a stand and to be brave, to find what the most important benefits are to their customers, and to put that on your website and nothing else other than a navigation system. Develop a tagline that's very clear and that works, like Meryl Runyon's tagline. Simplify the design around that brand, your benefits, and the tagline. Keep it simple. Lots of white space is good. And finally, fight the urge to add more stuff because you think it's cool to your website. Add it to the interior pages under smart and intuitive navigation.
And this might be one other thing. It's a good time to go back and review your competition, who your competition is on the web, and find out what they're doing right. If
Yes.
they're doing things wrong, pat yourself on the back and clap, and then go look at Google and Apple and see how you can emulate that.
That's a good idea.
Wonderful, folks. Thanks for joining us. And once again, if you have any items, any types of shows that you would like us to talk about, or specific subjects you want us to talk about here at the Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast, let us know, and we'll get to it. Thanks so much for joining us.
This has been an Intuitive Websites Internet Marketing Podcast. For more information and to see all the available podcasts and much more, visit intuitiveblog.com.